Good morning, everybody. I'm Diane Hall with AARP Missouri, and I'd like to welcome you to Flexibility and Function. This is our 5th class of an 8-session series. This series was created and is going to be led by Tyler Ferguson. If this is your first time in class, our aim is for all of us to gain flexibility and to have fun while we're doing it. Now, gains in flexibility and function will take work, but Tyler is going to take us through that all in a minute. And you may think that it doesn't feel like a real workout, but this kind of movement is something that will enhance flexibility and function, and that'll contribute to your ability to do other kinds of physical activities. Anything that you take on will be just a little bit easier because you can move a little easier. Sometimes a slow, controlled movement is a lot more challenging and can be really beneficial than doing a fast, jerky one. So keep that in mind as we go through this. AARP Missouri believes that offering classes like this gives people and more people a chance to participate, though we also have things that are in person like walks and hikes and bike rides. However, a virtual class may be more convenient for some of you. If you are a caregiver, for instance, or maybe you may be watching this later on our YouTube channel, whatever works so you can participate when it's convenient for you. However and whyever you participate, we are glad to have you and hope that this helped you to enhance your commitment to healthy, active living, particularly after the new year. This is a great foundational class, and you can find our previous classes, and we are up to date as of today on Missouri's YouTube channel at youtube.com/@AARP Missouri, AARPMO. So youtube.com/@AARPMO. Now, this class is suitable for many levels of fitness. However, you know your own limitations. Please do not try to go beyond what you know is right for you. If you have any concerns, check with your doctor before participating in this or any other AARP fitness offering. In addition to our fitness online classes, AARP has resources for caregivers, up-to-date COVID-19 information about home modification, technology information, as well as other upcoming activities on our website at aarp.org/nearyou. We have lots of activities going on and volunteer opportunities to make a difference in your life or your community. There are options to volunteer virtually or in person, or you can volunteer regularly or maybe just once in a while. Please check our website at aarp.org/Missouri to find out more. We will be skipping next week for the MLK Day holiday. We encourage you to spend time with family or go out and do a service project on Martin Luther King Day, and we will see you again the following Monday. Now, I'm going to turn this over to our instructor, Tyler Ferguson. Tyler, let the fun and functionality begin.
Good morning, everyone. Hi, welcome. Let's get started right away. We'll begin class today standing. And as you arrive in your standing position, look down at your toes and see that your toes are facing forward toward the screen, and make a mental note where your screen is. If it's up high and you find that you're cranking your neck a lot to watch what's going on, try to get a visual for what's going on and then bring your neck more into a neutral position and listen. I'll give you cues, so you should be able to listen and follow along. Toes are pointing forward. Feet are about the distance between one another as your own feet. Feel your big toe mounds, the space behind your big toe, the piggy toe mounds, and then the inside and outside edge of your heel. Take a moment, breathe in, exhale, and feel those points of your feet grounding into the earth. Think about being a tree and those being roots that secure you into earth. Following up, take your inner thighs and just draw them toward one another and notice the musculature that turns on in your hip area. Your hips might feel a little bit more stable. And then notice the tendency when you engage that hip area to pull your knees out and lock them. We don't want to lock them. We just want to keep them nice and soft, not bent, but not locked out. Take your hands, your thumbs, put them right somewhere on your ribs, and then your pinky somewhere on your pelvis. All right, so your pelvic structure is here, your ribs here. Now slouch for me for a second, just slouch. Let gravity push on your shoulders. See how the thumbs and piggy fingers come together? Now stand tall. Push through your feet, create space between your thumbs and your pinky toes, pinky fingers, right? Create that space in your torso. Relax the shoulders down and away from your ears, and then draw your chin in, make the back of your neck long. Bring your arms out in front of you, making fists. Palms or fists are the same level as your shoulder. It's called tracing shoulders. You're going to elevate one shoulder, pull it back, and put it down. Then do the same thing on the other side. Elevate, pull it back, press it back down. One right after the other, chasing shoulders. Do this movement slowly and connect to the movement. Feel what's going on in your back body. Notice if you can feel your scapula elevate and then slide back down, like you're putting your scapula in your back pocket. One more time on each side. Revisit those feet, inner thighs. Notice if you rolled in or roll out, and then bring your knuckles back down. Shrug the shoulders up, press them down, both shoulders at the same time. Connect your breath. Inhale up, exhale down. Now, even though we're inhaling the shoulders up, it's not because this is an ideal place to be. In fact, we're all kind of here sometimes, right? But this gives us perspective so we can feel what it feels like to press our shoulders down. Take the shoulders away from the ear. That's a general rule to live by. Take the shoulders down and away from your ears. Let's elevate the arms right out to the sides. My fingers are together like blades, and I'm just going to start doing some circles. But I want to feel this from my fingertips in through my elbows into my shoulders, just warming up the shoulders here by making these circles happen. Mine happen to be rotating backwards, so that's counterclockwise. If I look counterclockwise to my left, clockwise to my right, and then pause, just reverse your circles, just take them the other direction. So now my circles are forward. So feel a little heat build up in the shoulders, but in addition to that, you're hugging your tricep and bicep to the bone, and you're straightening out this joint, right? So we're working on straightening out that joint. Keep breathing. Sometimes when we think, we're holding our breath, and then bring our hands down to the side. Plant your feet into the ground again, and then start to just rotate the rib cage and see if you can keep your arms, your wrists completely out of it. Can you initiate movement from the hips? Feel the rotation happen in the rib cage, but let the arms just dangle and swing. Let the palms just strike your body. You want to have this freedom in the torso, freedom of your rib cage to move. It's important that your rib cage rotates as you walk. So notice when you're walking, if your rib cage isn't rotating, maybe make that mental note and see if you can't free up this rib cage area a little bit more. And then come to stillness. Let's just lift. I'm just lifting the toe up here, then lifting the toes up here, back and forth, just these little marches. I'm working on the anterior tibialis, or the front muscle of my shin bone. As the big toe mound and foot reaches up off the ground, you can hug that kneecap up the leg and feel the quad muscle fire. Keep doing these little lifts, and then notice if you're bringing your measuring sticks together. Stand tall, create space between your measuring sticks as you lift through the feet. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Replant your feet. Cross your arms over your body. This is for any shoulder injuries in the house. Lift and lengthen. Make your way over to one side and stay here and breathe. Maybe even breathe into that long side of the body, into that rib cage. Inhale in, exhale yourself back up to center. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, come over to the other side. Now you're going to stay for a breath or two. Maybe try to expand this long side of the body, that rib cage on your breath. To exit, inhale, exhale, press yourself back up to center. If you have an arm injury, stay right here. Otherwise, grab opposite elbows. We're going to do this again. So my right hand is going to pull up, lift, lengthen over. So a little bit deeper stretch, particularly if you're getting this little pull. Yeah, I'm bringing my shoulder up into my ear in this stretch. That's okay, because I'm trying to create some length in the tissue on this side of the body. Keep breathing, my friend. Now rotate your trunk, your sternum. Stay in your bed and rotate it right down to the ground. Trunk and eye gaze are down to the right side of your body. Might be the left if you're following the other direction. And then back up to center. Lift and lengthen up over to the other side. Get yourself established. Keep breathing. Maybe use your exhale to rotate your sternum down to the opposite side, looking on the outside edge of your legs. Stay for a breath. Inhale. Exhale, rotate back to center, come up and over. Place your hands on your hips. We're going to work on the front of our hips, our hip flexors. So just allow this right where the hips crease, allow that to drift forward. So you'll notice I'm not arching my back. I'm just letting my hips drift forward. And then turn on your glute muscles, your gluteal muscles, where you sit down. Kind of lift and squeeze those together and hug them in. Allow the front of your hips to open. Now create that space between the rib cage and the pelvis, and then open up your heart just a little bit. Don't let your head fall back. Keep your chin like you're still holding a grapefruit. And then come back to center. Now that's a back bend. That's a safe back bend with that cueing of lifting and lengthening, turning on your glutes. And I didn't cue to bring the navel in, but we will. Now we're going to put all these pieces together. So grab opposite elbows, stay here if you have a shoulder injury, come up and over. Now rotate your trunk down to the side body, bend your knees and hinge forward and sweep across the front. Long spine across the front. We're doing spinal circles. Come up on the opposite side, come up to the top, send your hips forward, big back bend. Think about sliding your upper back ribs over the top of a chair, draw your navel in, and then come back to standing. Let's go the other direction, lift and lengthen. Come over to the opposite side. Rotate your trunk down to the opposite edge of your leg. Bend your knees, reach your chest forward as you travel across the front of your body. Come over into your side bend on the opposite side. Bring yourself back up. Send the hips forward, squeeze the glutes, draw the navel in, lift and lengthen, and come back to center. And let your arms come down. Flick your wrists, flick your fingers a little bit. So those are spinal circles. Doing a few rounds of those every morning, these side bends and these spinal circles, they can really lubricate your spine. Let's come into a sphere of tension. So all the fingers touch into one another, and then you have this space in between your hands, and you can control that space by pressing the elbows down, and you'll begin to maybe feel the lats engage as you press the elbows down. So let's find that sphere of tension. Now let's toe heel the feet wider than the hips, wider than the shoulders, and maybe turn the toes in just a little bit. So you can see that in my foot. Toes are slightly turned in. We've got our sphere of tension here. First round, just karate chop right at your hips and hinge forward. Keep your back long, your chest proud. Your chest and heart lead. You're only going to hinge as far as your shoulders are not going to go lower than your hips. Now notice, if I put in my measuring sticks, I still have space between my ribs and my pelvis because my back is flat. If your back is rounded, watch what happens. Boom, ribs touch pelvis. Spine is in flexion. We don't want that. Lift and lengthen. Get that space, get your flat back. Now to come back up, push down through the legs to pull your trunk away from your legs. If you'd like to keep your hands on your hips for a little bit more stability, feel free to do that, or even put a chair in front of you. Otherwise, sphere of tension. Press into your elbows. Feel the core turn on. Draw your navel in. Now hinge at the hips. The hips are going to slightly travel back behind your heels. You'll see that they push behind your heels. Now draw your chin in, make the back of your neck long here. Create length in your trunk. Pressing fingertips together, start to travel the hands so the sphere of tension is under your face. Notice you have to use the core a little bit more. Maybe travel your hands forward beyond your head. Notice how you have to work on the core a little bit more. Start to engage glutes here. Draw belly button in. Maybe press fingers all the way forward, bringing biceps to ears. A lot of work here. Before you come up, come back to sphere of tension right under your chest. Press into your feet and push yourself back up to standing. To exit the straddle work, we're just going to heel, toe together like so. All right, that's the safest way to get in and out of straddle. We're going to work on our forward fold for a second. So bend the knees a lot, okay? And then we want our pelvis to rotate forward. So you're going to bring your chest towards your thighs. You might use a chair here. You might use your upper thighs, shins, maybe fingertips touch the floor if you have yoga blocks. Now, let your head hang heavy. So when you're doing a forward fold, when you talk about touching your toes, if you bend your knees and tilt your pelvis, that's going to create a little bit of slack in your hamstrings so that your low back can enjoy this stretch. Now to come back up, I want to push down through my heels, lift my trunk up off my thighs, and push my hips forward. Let's make that flow a little bit more. Sweep your arms up, get tall, bring your hands down to your hips. Tilt your pelvis forward as you bend your knees. Bring your trunk, your torso, to your thighs. Hands can rest anywhere that feels safe. Let the head hang heavy. Shake your head, yes. Exit, push through the heels. Bring the torso off of the thighs. Now send the fronts of your hips forward. Reach up. Exhale your arms down to your sides. So that, my friends, is a forward fold. It's a move that you might find a lot in a yoga class. But the next time you say to somebody, I can touch my toes or I can't touch my toes, if the pelvis doesn't move and you're going from here, I can't touch my toes doing that either, okay? So get that pelvis tilting forward, bend the knees, think about chest to thighs, bam, there you go. That's how you touch the floor, okay? Let's toe heel our feet wide again. This time, instead of turning the toes in, you can even turn them out the slightest bit. That might feel okay. And then we're going to bend one knee, leave the other leg straight, and then just rest your hands right on your thigh here and just enjoy that nice stretch to your inner thigh. If you want to feel more of a stretch, engage that glute and drag that foot toward your body, but it's actually not going to move. Feel how that lights that up. Now push through to stand up and then come over to the other side. Bend your opposite knee, rest here, get that inner thigh stretch. While you're getting the stretch of the inner thigh, be cognizant of your spine. Are you rounding? Are you bringing your measuring stick closer together? Or can you lengthen your measuring stick? Press to that foot, come back up. Let's go, you can go slow like we just did, or we can make it a little bit more dynamic. Press into one side, travel back up, press into the other side. And then if you want to stay with this more dynamic movement, it's your choice. If you want to stay and hold, just do that. If it feels better, some days that feels better to me. I just want to give you guys some options. Can you connect your breath to your movement? Exhale. Inhale back to center. Exhale into your movement. Or maybe the breath goes the other way. Maybe you inhale up. No, I'm sorry. Maybe you inhale here, and then you exhale, press up. It doesn't matter as long as you're breathing. That's what really matters. There's different reasons to breathe different ways. All right. After you finish getting those side lunges, toe heel your feet together again. go ahead and grab the use of a chair or a wall. This isn't a balance exercise, so go ahead and use the assistance of a wall or a chair. Feet are hips distance apart. Put your weight into one foot, the one closest to what you're holding on to, and then dorsiflex the ankle of the other foot, and you'll notice that foot is up off the ground, and then you're just going to abduct and then bring back together. This strengthens our hip muscles. In particular, this helps you just stand up. Just in a standing position, it increases your endurance for standing. So things to think about here. The standing leg, we don't want to lock that knee out. We're going to keep it nice and soft. And then the moving leg, can you feel this? Can you initiate the movement from the hip? Going fast like this, we're just using momentum and we're not isolating the movement to the hip. We're bypassing the hip using our core and some other areas. So, and when you get up to your end range, that's it. That's my end range. I'm going to press it right back down. It could be that you want to do that to get higher, but you'll notice my leg is still right under my hip, right? If I brought my shoulders back up, I didn't get it any higher. It just feels higher. So just a couple more. 3 and 2 and 1. Hip stabilizing. All right, on to the other side. Your setup matters. So take a moment, ground, feel the big toe, piggy toe, mountain heels. Get your grip and then take time putting weight into your standing leg so that the knee is soft, dorsiflex that opposite side, and lift and lower. So on each direction, you want to choose the more challenging path. There's all kinds of ways to make this easier. Momentum, changing the relative position of my shoulders or hips, bending my knee. There's a lot of things we can do to make this easier, but can you stick with this movement? And heck, you know what, guys? If this is your end range, then stay there. Don't feel like you're in your home alone. Don't feel like you need to look like anyone else on the screen, including me. Really important when you work out that you meet yourself exactly where you are on that day. And levels of exercise, regressions, which means making the exercise easier, progressions, which means making the exercise harder, those could vary from day to day or from week to week. So just because you choose to do a regressed version today doesn't mean you can't do a more progressed version next week. Final time. Take that leg nice and wide and return. And then just march it out a little bit, but let your arms swing. So last time we let the arms really rotate across the body because the hip was initiating the movement. Now I want your hands to initiate the movement. Like I have little cups of water in each hand. And when the hand goes forward, I'm just tossing the water out of the cup. And then notice how that forward momentum of the hand rotates the rib. So the hand that goes back is the direction that the rib rotates. Again, super important to unsticky your torso doing these movements or become aware of that so that your walking and gait pattern isn't compromised. 3 and 2 and 1. Okay, we're going to come down to quadruped position, hands and knees on the mat. If you're working in a chair today, your quadruped position is going to look something like this. So your wrists are right under your shoulders, you're pressing into your chair, and then your knees are just bent to whatever level of bend feels good to you. So everybody else, we're down on the ground. Chairs, you're in that position I just showed you. Come on down. And then as we're waiting for everyone to come down on the mat, just paw your mat a little bit. You can do this at the chair. Spread your fingers, press into the mat. Just feel the little bit of sensation and stretch that your wrist is getting. You can also do the following. Turn your pinky finger away So your thumb is away now. Fingers are back toward the knees. And then just rock into how much sensation you can tolerate here. So as the hips move forward, that's a little bit less pressure. As the hips move back, that's more stretch, more sensation. And then switch it out. Turn the other hand around, spread the fingers wide. You can do this at your chair. You can do this at the wall. Okay, so, and doing this wrist work is really, really nice for any kind of, if you needlepoint or crochet or craft or paint, anything where you're really using your hands, this type of work can help mitigate that cramping that you get in your hands. Here I go in the pool, fingers together. I'm adding this. This isn't on our sheet today, but I really like these bulldog circles. So fingers are in. We're just adding extra wrist mobility work. This is called closed chain wrist mobility. It just means that my hand or the wrist or that distal point, the end point of what you're working is touching something solid and giving you feedback, versus if you want to come up to here, if I took my wrist down and up, that would be called open chain. And those movements are beneficial as well. I've digressed. Let's get back to our cat-cow, shall we? Wrists are right under shoulders, knees are right under hips. Commonly, I see people set up like this, hips in front of knees. It's just more work. If you want to have more work, that's fine, but I'd like to stay in 90-90. And then just start to move your spine. Press and round. Drop your rib cage. And press and round. Now, when you drop your rib cage and you come into this cow shape, keep your navel drawn in just a little bit. You don't have to fully express this shape. Explore your spine as you do this movement, and then come to stillness. I'm wondering if that waterfall is loud. I'm going to turn around the other way. And then let's walk into that position I demonstrated before. Now the hips are out in front of the hands, and then bring the hips back toward the heel. You can do this on your chair. You're setting the hips in front, the shoulders in front of the fingers, hips in front of the knees, shoulders behind the wrists, hips behind the knees. So we're just getting some movement in shoulders and hips. Now remember, fists for wrists, always an option if you feel like you're on your wrist too much. And forearm plank is also another option for you if you're feeling like it's getting too wristy for you. Okay, let's press it on up. And today we're going to come into got to bring my sheet over here if I'm not going to have my mic over here. Let's come into a bird dog. So take your right leg back. You can do this from the chair. I'll show it in a second. And then elevate your right leg. And then work on not opening your hip. So think about the top of your hip, there being a magnet, and it's being drawn to the floor so that both of your, the flesh on your backside is even. You could put a tray on that. Good. And maybe take your opposite arm and reach it forward. Now draw your navel in, breathe, and push away the arm that's down. Push away. 3, 2, 1. Left hand goes down, right knee goes down. Big toes together, knees wide. Send your hips back as far as they want to go. They might go all the way to the heels, they might not, but try to bring your chest to the ground. Take a big inhale here. Open mouth, exhale, let it go. And then press yourself back up to tabletop again. Remember, fists for wrists. Any options here? I'll show it on the chair this time. This time we're going to go opposite leg. So opposite leg extends. So you're thinking about the space behind the knee, and you want to find extension at the knee and then length at the glute, which opens up the hip. Now my weight is on opposite sides. In my case, it's my weight is in left hand, right foot. I'm going to reach the right arm forward. Back of the neck should be long. There goes my workout. It just blew away. And your eye gaze is going to be down. So if you're looking at a screen right now and straining, we don't want this happening at the neck. This is where you listen, take the eye gaze down, right hand goes down, left foot goes down. You can take a little squat here in your chair or take a child's pose down on your mat. Let's move into a modified side plank. This you might use the wall and just work sideways on the wall. You're going to kickstand out your right foot and then bring your left foot long. So from here, it looks like this. Kickstand right foot out, left foot reaches long, and then rotate your trunk up for that side plank. So this is about rotation of the trunk as much as it is on the side plank. Good. Now, for those of you that are feeling super strong, if you want to turn this in to a full plank, put this top leg down, you can lift up this knee. Just like that. That would be an advanced version of this move. And then bring yourself back down to the floor. If you're feeling safe on your prop, this is how we do it from the prop. So set yourself up on the floor, pivot that leg out, rotate that leg back. If you're working from a chair, you're just going to press into your chair. And again, it's about the rib cage, pressing into that arm, maybe lifting one leg up. If you're down on the ground, we're here. You don't have to lift that bottom leg up. It's just an option for you if you want it today. 3, 2, 1. Bring yourself back down to the mat. My workout blew away, so forgive me while I go. That's where I thought we were. We're into our get-ups today. Now, I've been asking you about these get-ups. Nobody's told me to cancel them so far, so we're going to keep working. But we're going to add on today. Just give the screen a little watch for a second. What we've been working on, reaching across and rolling back down. Then we went to reaching across, dropping knees and coming up. That's what we worked on for the last few weeks. Now, when you're in this side plank, you're just going to press up. See how the elbow comes up off the floor? Rebend the elbow, bring it back down. Bring your back down. Knees come back up. So let's break it down. Everybody down on your backs. If you're in a chair, you're sitting in the chair, you're reaching across and pushing up out of the chair. I'll show that in a minute. Everyone else, left hand reaches across the body, head up, shoulder up, just pause. Come back down 2 more times. Left hand sweeps across the body, shoulder up, head up, pause. Feel these rotational muscles working, abdominal muscles. Less time, let's pause. Now drop the knees, push into the elbow. Now let's press up into the hand. Yeah, back down to the elbow. Keep the shoulder away from the ear when you go back to the elbow. Let's look at that again. We don't want to go here, right? We want to go there. Back down to your back. As you go to your back, the knees come up. Whole thing, 2 more times. Sweep across, knees drop, press into the elbow, press into the hand. Come back down. Knees up, back to the earth. Final time. Sweep across, lift, drop knees, press into elbow, press up into the hand, and then come all the way up. Can you see where we are? Can you see that? Look where we are. We're in a shin box. Fun way to get to a shin box, huh? Let's get back out of it. Hand comes back down. Elbow, I have the distances off. You know what? Let's not go back down that way. Let's just bring our feet out in front of us and we'll go the other direction. I added on too much. Okay, opposite hand, here we go. Right hand reaches. Peel the shoulder, peel the neck and pause. Let's just prime that 2 more times. Rest your head. Sweep the fingers across, peel the shoulder, then the head, feel the obliques work, and back down. Final time just to prime the movement. And then here we're going to add on. So we sweep the fingers across, drop knees, press into elbow. From our elbow, press into hand. From here, shoulder stays away from ear, back to elbow, back down to our back, knees come up. 2 more times, sweep all the way across, then drop the knees, then press into the elbow, then press into the hand, back down to the elbow. You're going to crunch here. You are going to bring your ribs to your pelvis here to crunch, to bring the knees up. Final time. Reach across, press, and press yourself all the way up into that shin box shape, if that feels okay for you. And then bring your feet back out in front of you. How are we doing on time? Good stuff. We have time to go back on our back and do some bridge work. So carefully make your way back to your back. If you're using a chair today, you're going to sit in the chair and you're going to slightly sit up and hover in the chair and then sit back down. If you're on your back, here we go. Knees are bent, feet are on the earth, arms down to the side. Your gaze is up. You don't want to be looking around while we do this exercise. So make sure you understand it. If you want to look at the screen, bring everything down on the floor before you look. Otherwise, press your hips up into the sky. If you're in a chair, you're standing up and you're hovering your seat right over the chair, hovering in like a chair pose. 3, 2, 1. Set it back down. We're going to go for 10. I want you to drive and squeeze. Lower back down. Drive and squeeze. If you're in a chair, you're standing and lowering. Lower back down. Your glutes touch the chair. Stand up and squeeze. There's a full stand here. Lower back down and touch. Drive up and squeeze. Now pretend if you're on your back, you have a beach ball. They're squeezing in between those inner thighs. At the top of the squeeze, we got 5 more. Really give it a good hard squeeze. Now connect your breath with the movement. We got 4 more. Stand up and squeeze. If you're using a chair, you're standing up and sitting down. 3 more to go. Press up and squeeze. Draw it back down. Keep that navel in close to the spine as you squeeze. Don't push through your belly to stabilize. We want to draw in to find stability. I was talking and I lost count. Let's do one more. Let's drive up and squeeze and hold on this one. Stand tall on this one. And then lower your hips back down to the floor. Keep your left foot planted. Bring your right knee in. If you're in the chair, you can do this in the chair. You pick up your right knee and you just bring it in. And then if you're in the chair, bring your chest a little bit closer to your knee. And then hold on to the chair here. Extend your left leg long. If you're on your back, you can just hold onto your knee and extend your left leg long. Now spread your toes. This is where the barefoot really comes in. Spread your toes. Circle your ankles. The ability to move and articulate each toe is important. When our toes start to cross on top of one another and curl in, we want to regain that independence of our toes. Right foot comes back down. Left knee comes in. Put a little squeeze. So your right foot's on the earth if you're in a chair. Bring that knee in. Give it a squeeze. If you're in the chair, I want you to hold on to the chair now and send your opposite leg long. If you're on the ground, you can still hold on to the knee. Same thing with the toes. Spread them wide as you can, and then circle and move your ankles. Feel all that independence in your feet. And if you're like me, I feel a breeze between my toes. And that's a lovely feeling. Okay, a few more circles, both directions, no rules on this one. All right. And then if you're on the ground, both knees come in. If you're on the chair, this is going to be a little harder, so just wait a second. And then when if you're on the ground, roll over onto your side, take the arm that's on top and push yourself up. Now, if you're seated in a chair, you want to just take your legs really wide in the chair, so like a not very proper way to sit. If you want to play on the ground, take your hands behind you, just start to drop your legs. They might go this far. That's okay. All right. I want you to go where it feels okay to you. If you're in a chair and that sit bone comes up a little bit, that's okay. Hold on to the chair. If you feel like you can go further and you have to peel this sit bone up off the ground, that's okay. Now to change directions, you're going to sit back a little bit, hold yourself with your hands, bring your knees back up to center, take them the other way. Remember, if you only go this far or this far or this far, meet yourself where you are. I do want to show you, though, where it's possible to go. Now, let's talk about the discomfort you may be feeling. If it's in your knees, not having it, all right? You got to back out so you don't have pain in your knees. If you've got some funky new sensations that you can breathe through and are tolerable and don't feel dangerous in your hips, we might be going for that. We might be looking for that mobility in your hips. Let's bring the knees back up to center. We're going to do this one more time. It'll be a little bit harder for the chair people to do what we're going to do, but we'll give it a try. Now, this knee that's furthest away from my body, I want to press it into the ground, not press it, but just press it in the ground and then open this leg. I can walk the foot a little bit real slow. So get that big inner thigh stretch, boom, and then send them over. I can walk the feet a little bit, send it over. And the same thing on this side. I'm going to press that knee into the ground. I'm going to keep it pressing to the ground. I can lean back as I open up on that other leg, big wide stretch in the middle, and then come back up to center. We have 2 more stretches. This next one could feel really good in a chair. I'll show it to you both ways. I think I showed you in the chair last week. If you want to try it and you're on the ground, here's what you're going to do. You're going to lean back and bring one foot over the top. It's going to look like this. And then as you walk your chest towards yourself, it becomes more intense of a stretch. You can do the exact same thing in a chair, right? Bring this right leg over. Maybe you have the mobility to open up. Then you're going to lift and lengthen, get those measuring sticks in the spine. Keep the measuring sticks as you hinge forward. If you have trouble crossing your legs, get a little closer to the front, take that opposite leg longer, and then just cross where you can. Or maybe don't even cross at all. Just hold on and hinge forward. Let's switch it up and do the other side. So if you're on the ground, just going to switch sides. We're in that shin box prep shape, crossing over the other side. Maybe this is enough, right? Maybe just taking this knee and kind of pushing it away. That can get a lot can happen in your hip. If you want to bring your trunk closer, you can try. Don't do that at the expense of hurting your shoulders to get there. Maybe just pop up in the chair or the couch or something, even the edge of a coffee table if you have it. And then otherwise, you guys are doing this stretch in the chair. Notice, I failed to mention this, I like to keep my foot flexed here. So rather than just being all turned off and not paying attention here, whoop, I'm going to draw those toes back, to feel those muscles engage and the lower leg protecting my knee as I do this. All right, yeah, toes are super spread. And then untuck. We're going to finish today's class standing. So I'm going to show you kind of a fun way to get up. So if you come into this shin box shape, this might not be for everyone, just for some of you I know. But come into this shin box shape, your back leg is internally rotated, your front leg is externally rotated. You're going to sweep your back leg in front, roll onto your shin, and then press up. I know that doesn't work for everyone, but that's just a fun way for some of you. Last stretch, anterior tibialis stretch. Go ahead and hold on to a chair if that feels good to you. If you'd like that, weight is going to be in one leg. I'm going to take the tops of my toes, show that, and press them down into the earth, and then find that extension in the hips. And I'm choosing how much pressure I want to push the top of my foot into the ground. And you should be feeling that stretch right along your shin muscle there. Good. So the key can be just getting the hips to go forward, turn on those glutes to support that stretch, and then breathe. Yeah. Whenever you're in any kind of shape or movement, you want to be able to breathe. If you have to hold your breath, then you're overstimulating, you're possibly in pain, or you're in a shape you shouldn't be in. You should be able to breathe in your shape. Let's come out of that and find it on the other side. You might turn your back to the camera because you know exactly what's going on. And then reach behind and get a little stretch on the opposite side. Work on your breath, work on your breathing, work on your posture, right? Measuring sticks, thumb, pelvis, long torso, pressing into the bottom, or actually the top of your foot as much as you want to feel that stretch. Breathing into the stretch. You might even feel the toes get a little stretch, which can be lovely, part of our toe independence and toe health. And then return your left foot back to meet your right foot. Let's take a minute. Feel those four corners, big toe mound, piggy toe mound, inside, outside edge of the foot, heel into the ground. Slightly bend the knees. Reach your arms up. Stop here if you have a shoulder injury. Otherwise, reach overhead. Let your hips drift forward. Maybe take your eye gaze up. Inhale. Exhale, arms down to the sides. Thank you so much for joining me. It was a pleasure to be with you this week. Take care.